So welcome back to another episode of navigation. So in today's series, we will be looking at the Android documentation, where we want to understand how does type-safe navigation work. We will be using our previous navigation code, which is linked down below on my GitHub. And if you look at the way we've been doing navigation, so we've all had navigation bugs where arguments don't match, rows are mistyped, or crashes happening at runtime. Now, if you look at carefully, we have rows. If you look carefully at what we used to do is we used to pass rows as strings, which was prone to typo. So if you miss something, that means that navigation journey is broken. Or maybe you loosely pass your arguments, so or maybe just a type mismatch. So that could really end up messing up your day. And also keep in mind that for this kind of navigation, the old school way, okay, for perfect demos that will work. For the small demos that will work, but if you really want to scale, you will need to use the type-safe navigation. Now, so without so much worry and ado, so we will be transitioning all our previous projects, and we won't need to worry anything about string rows or mismatched arguments. So we'll be using Kotlin, Silk classes, and type-safe to make navigation predictable and reliable. So let's see how this thing could really make our life simpler. And by the way, thanks to the Android team. Just going to quickly take you through how we're going to get started. So first things first is to have, of course, the dependencies. So if you look at the dependencies we added on our first time, or what we've been using has only been navigation compose. And for us to use serialization, so we need to add the Kotlin JSON serialization to our application. So far, we'll just copy the dependencies. Of course, you will find them in my repository. So I will attach it on the comment. So I'm just going to copy the library. Just a second. Copy the libraries here. I'm gonna do that. Place that here, and then also the plugin. Just the plugin, copy for plugin, and then we need to define also the serialization. That's the version. Okay, so just as of today, working with serialization 1.3. Of course, we've proceeded now to 1.9, so we can actually change that to this. And then sync our project. So once our project is done building, so we're going to add them on Gradle. So we need to add our serialization plugin here. So we can say it's found in the libs folder with plugins, and then I think Kotlin and serialization. So, and then finally, we need to add the implementation. So that is the libs dot serialization dot JSON. Yeah, so I think that is it. We can now sync and we should be good to go. So once that is done, so we can ideally, so we can actually use our previous last navigation that was not nested navigation, but we can just duplicate this one here, just copy and paste here. I'm going to explain that. So we can just do type safe. So if you're wondering what are these, they are basically some packages we were dealing with during our navigation series. So you can check it out on the other series for navigations and navigation. So in type safe, so what I'm just trying to do here is I'm avoiding a repetition of recreating the screen. So basically within this, we have home screen, composable, which we have two names. So we need to pass these variables. The first, the name and the score. This is a column with text, composable, a spacer, and another text field to allow us to input in the name. So, and on navigate, we are using callback here called on navigate. Same thing for the profile screen. So the profile screen takes two arguments, two params, and this is what is shown. So this is just an preview. So we take the name and append it with the name here, and then we take the score and also append it with the score. Now, the next thing could be, our major focus will be on navigation graph. So this is the old school way of how navigation used to work, which was really a lot of pain, man. And if you look at this, we had to create our own route, which we had to append the names. So if you end up missing something here, maybe adding an S here, you end up missing a typo here with the string roots. It used to cause a lot of problems, which I'm so happy now that the Compose team has decided to simplify things with serialization. So what we're going to do now is we want to switch this old school way of navigation to the type-safe navigation. So I'm just going to remove these old school way of using routes. Now, of course, definitely the first thing once you are here is to create the routes. So with the new navigation, so we don't have to specify routes. So anything that has this route, so is deprecated, we don't need this. It's really saved us a lot and a lot. So we don't need to create a whole other data stuff thing. Now, of importance is we need to annotate this with a serializable. So serializable, sorry, caps, serializable. Again, for our data, our home screen. So we need to annotate any other object you create with serialization. So this allows Compose to actually perform its own serialization and deserialization. The other thing here again will be on serializable. Now, if we need to pass parameters here, so we need to define them on this object here. So we're going to change this to a data class. And then what is needed with the profile screen is, if we go to the profile screen, so just a second, let's use the home here. So if you go to profile screen, it's expecting that we pass this to optional name and score. So we can go and do this. So we can go back to our profile screen here. So we're going to say, just create this one, name of type string, which we could make it optional. And we also have scores of type string. Okay, let's make that mandatory. So just about here. And that's so simple. We are done with our data class for the routes for these objects. Now, if we go back to navigation here, we don't need this route definition again. So if we go back to our start destination, let me just remove this. We start here. So we have our start destination. So we can just say, so I didn't want to name it really route. So we can just have them as objects anyway, so that we avoid these the route things here. Just format that. Then we don't have to say you're extending the route. You just have them as plain objects. So simplify things. So that is it. This is what you need. So on other sides or other ways, we will of course move these to a different file, but for now we can just leave them there. Yeah, so if we go back here, so let me just undo this. So we're going to do nav host, and if you check carefully, we have different kind of nav host with graph, start destination, and we have this one, the K class, the Kotlin class. This is really amazing. So we are going to use this one here, and from the documentation you can see we do have nav controller. Then we of course have our main one, so that is the Kotlin K class. So these are basically the Kotlin objects, which now, of course, we don't have to, on the front side, we know them as the Kotlin objects, or we won't say maybe they're strings. So these are going to really help us a lot in managing a lot of pain that we've been going through with navigation. Now, we go back here. Of course, we need to pass in the nav controller and our start destination, which now will be our home screen. That's all you need to do. Now, I'm just gonna do this to clean that up. Now, on our route, so we don't need to specify everything here. We just need to delete that and use angle brackets and just say this is our home screen. Home screen. That's all, man. You can imagine this is so amazing. Now, we need to navigate these. We don't have things like creating those things again. We just need to say, we're just navigating to the profile screen and we are passing in our parameters. This is so cool. We're just passing in parameters That is the name on the score. Okay, again over here. Now, this is the interesting part when you need to pass in arguments from the first screen to the next screen, which happens to be we are passing data from home screen now to the profile screen. We only need to specify our route here. We don't need all this boilerplate code. Yeah, but thanks to the Android team, we don't need any of this. We don't need this. Now, we're just going to pass in our profile. So just that over here, just come back, cancel that, and we're good to go. Now, for us to fetch these from the previous screen, so we're just going to create another variable. You can just call it args, and given, of course, this is a backstack entry, so we could ideally just use backstack entry, but that will be naming it and assigning it to those. But for now, we can just leave it as it. So we're going to say it dot to route, and we are actually going to pass this data all through to profile screen. That is all you need. So from here, we can now access a variable. So that's name. And this other side on the score, we can just come here and say args. Okay, forgot com args dot score. And we are done. That's all it needed to be done. Like literally, we are done. We can just run this up. So we're going to let's call this one type safe. Copy these, go back to our main activity here. Just do this, import this, and trust me, we are done. Launch the application, and we should be able to pass data with the new type safe navigation. So for example, if we wanted to pass some of them as optional as null, we could assign them. So we have a small problem here. So this is illegal, must not be null. So structure is I remember. So, okay, cool. So we let me just refer something here. This one to 1.6.3. I will tell you why we're doing so later. Sync the project and do build. Should now be able to build. Cool, there we go. Now we can say teams and maybe 80. So just go up, something small is wrong somewhere. Well, profile screen. Okay, profile seems unused here. So this is the issue. So what is happening is we are calling this on profile and then profile screen. So the IDE understands that probably we are passing this same here. So I'm just going to rename this to profile and also just rename this to home so that we can have uniformity. Just home. So I want us to separate our composable screens from our Kotlin class objects. So this one will be now profile, not profile screen, but profile. Yes, type safe here. So profile, again, same thing here, profile, same thing here, profile. And then, yeah, we're good now. So this one will be our profile screen. Good. Now it seems to be working. It now seems to be highlighted. And yeah, that's basically how Compose, the new navigation works. So we can have now teams. We can have 50. Yeah, and we're done. That was all we needed to do with the new navigation. So thanks to the Android team for this. So in our next series, we get to understand how we do deep links with the new navigation. So join me in the next episode of understanding deep links as part of the navigation in the Android operating system. See you there.